the situation with Lucy Connolly. Now, Lucy Connolly was jailed for 31 months back in October as a victim of the British regime's attack on free speech. And yesterday she had her appeal against her sentence turned down. Now, Connolly's tweets at the time were pretty reprehensible for sure, but the punishment way overboard, in my opinion, particularly when considered against the punishment given for other offences. And we'll come on to that in a second. The appeal judges considered that the trial judge, had acted correctly. And in a sense, it's hard to disagree with that. But before you jump down my throat for saying that, just hear me out for a second, because what we have here, I think, is a perfect example of why juries are important, because the trial judge could only act based on the letter of the legislation. And it's in the legislation that we have to look for the injustice in this case. Connolly pled guilty, but if she'd been in front of a jury, she may well have been felt able to challenge the charge. And remember that a jury has the power to overturn bad legislation, which a judge does not, other than in very exceptional circumstances like incompatibility with the Human Rights Act. But the bottom line here is that it's the legislation which is the problem. And therefore, if there's going to be resistance to what happened to her and to others, including, for example, Peter Lynch, who was imprisoned under the same kinds of circumstances and hanged himself in prison, then the resistance has to be political. Now, the reaction on Twitter last night was predictable, perhaps. All the tweets were the same, or at least mostly the same, mentioning Hugh Edwards, who got a suspended sentence for his crimes, and Mike Amesbury, former MP, who punched a constituent and who ended up with a suspended sentence on appeal, and the requirement to do some voluntary work and an anger management course. So these comparisons that everybody was tweeting and retweeting last night came from Lucy's husband, Ray, who's a Tory councillor in Northampton Town Council. And so to end this segment, I just want to mention the BBC coverage of all this on this morning's Today programme. Presenter Anna Foster made these comments.
I note comments by Lucy Connolly's husband, Ray, in this case, and I wanted your take on a couple of those. He said that he thought the system wanted to make an example of her so other people would be scared to say things about immigration. And he also said Lucy got more time in jail for one tweet than some paedophiles and domestic abusers get. Is that the case here?
So she couldn't, as a BBC presenter, couldn't even acknowledge the fact that the paedophiles, that was only one paedophile being talked about on all the Twitter comments that I saw, and that was Hugh Edwards. And because, of course, he was BBC himself, they didn't want to discuss that at all. I just thought that was a pretty pathetic effort by the BBC there. I wanted to mention that in passing.